What's up, guys? It's Mr. Bringle, and today we're going to talk about the guess method, which is what we use to solve math problems in ICP. So we'll jump right into it here. The guess method stands for givens, units, equation, substitute, and solve. And these are the steps that we take when we do our math problems, and you will have to show all of these steps every single time you do a math problem in this class. So the first step with the givens is to write out the things that the problem has given to you, the things that you know. So if we just kind of we'll go through one of these, but if you just kind of look at number one here down at the bottom of the page, it says find the average speed of a sledder traveling 132 meters. Well, it gave me something right there. It told me a distance of 132 meters, so I would write that down. And then it says that happens in 18 seconds. So again, it's given me something there. It's given me the time of 18 seconds. And then it's also told me to find the average speed. So I would also write down that we're solving for the speed. So I might write V equals question mark. Okay. Now for the second step, the units, that's going to be so since we're solving for the average speed, you might actually write that down again. So I tend to like to write that down on this step, V equals question mark. And then what units are we going to use for speed? So how do we measure speed? Well, speed is measured in meters per second, usually. Now it depends on what the problem gives us. So we need to check that. So in this first problem, it gives us 132 meters in 18 seconds. So when you do distance divided by time, you're going to end up with meters per second there. So we would write the units down as meters per second. And that's just going to be a way for us to check at the end of the problem when we get our answer and we write the units down. Do they match up with what we said the units should be? And if they don't, then we know that we made a mistake and go back and change that. Now, the third step is the equation, and you're going to pick the correct equation to solve the problem with. Now, the base equation that we would use for this problem is speed is equal to distance over time, but we're also providing you with the rearranged equations here. So you would pick the correct equation. In this case, since we're solving for the average speed, I would actually write down V equals D over T. Now, the next step is to substitute your givens in. So after you write that equation down, then you're basically going to rewrite it with numbers in it. So it would say V is equal to 132 meters divided by 18 seconds. And then in the very last step, we solve it. So you actually do the math and get an answer. And your answer should include a number and the units. So if you don't include the units, then that would not be complete there. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you an example here. I'll kind of zoom in. So we've already talked about this problem just now, obviously, but we'll go ahead and I'll write them down here. So we'll start with G, which is our givens. So distance is equal to 132 meters. Okay, I also have time is equal to 18 seconds. And then I know that I'm solving for the speed. Okay, my unknown units here. So again, I like to write V equals question mark again, but then this is going to be in meters per second. We know that. The equation now, since I'm solving for V, I can go ahead and leave, or speed, I can go ahead and leave the equation as is. V is equal to D over T, or speed is equal to distance over time. Now for the substitute step, I'm actually going to plug the numbers in here. So 132 meters divided by 18 seconds. Okay, and then we go ahead and we solve. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator, which I misplaced. And go ahead and put this in. So we put in 132 divided by 18, and that gives us 7.33, or 3 repeating. So that means that our answer here is 7.3 repeating meters per second. Okay, so that's the average speed of the sledder. And then I always like it if you guys box in your answer for me there. Okay, so there's your very first example. And we'll go ahead and do one more here. We'll do the second example. On the second one, it says Jamie is moving at 20 meters per second. Okay, so it's also a good habit to underline the givens or the things that we know. So she's moving 20 meters per second for a distance of 40 meters. How long does it take? So I'm circling that because that's asking us to solve for the time. So how long does it take for her to travel this distance? So again, we'll write our givens down here. We know that the speed is 20 meters per second. We know that the distance is 40 meters. And then we know that we're solving for the time because it asked us how long does this take. Okay, so our unknown / units here, we're solving for time, and time is going to be measured in seconds. We can go ahead and write our equation out here. Now this time, since we're solving for time, we're not going to use the same version of the equation. So normally the equation would look like this. V is equal to d over t, but we're actually going to solve for the time here. Okay, so if we were going through this, we would multiply by the time on each side to get it off of this side. Okay, and then we would need to divide by the speed. So we'd have to divide by speed on both sides. And what we're going to end up with is time is equal to distance over speed. Now you already have that version of the equation. So I'm just going to go ahead and write it in there. Now we'll go ahead and substitute in our givens. So time is equal to 40 meters divided by 20 meters per second. Okay, now we go ahead and solve. And we can see here that this is going to be 2 seconds. Okay, 40 divided by 20 was 2. Now, you could probably figure that out without doing the math. Like some of you will be able to do that in your head, right? You understand, oh, he's moving 20 meters per second and moves 40 meters. Well, that would take 2 seconds. You still got to show your work. You still got to go through all the steps. You're going to get points for doing each of these steps. So make sure that you do these. And then we'll have some practice problems that go along with these. Let me know if you have any questions.